Hi everyone, I'm Erkan, Ali, this is Gill, Tiney, and our super guest today is Andrew Horder, the joyful genius, and this is the Journey of Possibility podcast. And we're back.
Yeah.
So, welcome. So, it's taken us what?
Thank you.
Do you know we started the podcast a year ago?
Whoa,
Yeah.
where have you been?
Where you been
Where have
hiding?
I been? Gatwick.
Gatwick.
Bloody long way away, isn't it?
Is it true? No sleep till Gatwick?
No what?
What's that?
Beastie Boys, no sleep till Brooklyn, but it's no sleep till Gatwick.
Beastie Boys. Like, I'm gonna know Beastie Boys.
He did turn up
We
with a
do real
Volkswagen.
music.
Yeah. So, firstly, it's fantastic to have you join us because it does feel like it's been way too long.
Yeah. Don't forget, Andrew has been on a Journey of Possibility before, in the beginning, when we had our lovely accomplices here. So
Oh yes, we did, didn't
he's
we?
one of our
Yes.
infamous accomplices and looks after the Surrey group over in Banstead. And if you ever get an opportunity to go, it's a delightful group. And Dave and Andrew, not quite Morecambe and Wise, but they were really, really good double act.
Yeah, short fat hairy legs or...
Well, I don't want to say anything. But,
Dave is the tall one.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, right? So let's just start with your journey in terms of BeCollaboration, and we'll get into, because you've got a bit of an interesting early life from what you've shared. But you know, how did you first hear about BeCollaboration? What did it occur to you as? And you know,
How did I first hear about it? Your friend Beijing.
oh, my friend, not your friend. if it was your friend, he would have told you.
Also my friend Beijing, yeah.
That's interesting.
I was talking about how what I was looking for in life was, you know, people who I could get together with and create something with.
Aha.
Ah, right.
And we were at the International Students' House, or otherwise known as Park Crescent Conference Centre. That's its posh name.
Is it? Right.
Yeah. And Beijing said, "You ought to go to BeCollaboration. Have you ever heard of it?" Oh, no.
And yet you...
And yet I still turned up. So yeah, Beijing said you should go, and I did. I made one attempt to come, and I got sort of halfway there in the pouring rain in the car, and the traffic was awful, and I was going to be late, and it was just like,
No.
this is wrong.
Not
It doesn't
right.
feel right.
Oh, yeah.
I'd never do that.
So I thought, okay, not going to go.
Cancel that.
And I said to Beijing, right, I'm going to come next time. He said, well, I won't be there. Then he went, did you drive? I said, yeah. He said, well, don't, you idiot.
Oh.
Go by train. So I
Top
did.
tip.
From now, you know, ever since then, whenever I come up
Yeah.
to Hertford or Hertford meeting, I come up by train. It's just so much easier.
Where were the meetings when you first turned up? Where-
First one I came to was at the White Horse, is it?
Oh.
At Hertford, Dinglebury.
Yes, Harting for.
Harding, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lovely meeting. It was a great meeting, and I just knew there that.
So what's I mean, like, because I imagine you've been around networking, you've been involved in a lot of different organisations, and you know, so what made you go? I'm going to put my, you know, wherever I lay my hat. What made you put your hat there?
I just felt like it was something that was going to work for me, was going to be right for me. I couldn't for the life of me say where the business was going to come from to start with, but it was just like, yeah, these are my people. It just felt that way.
Comfy.
Now, you know, whether that's because it was one of the rare meetings where Erkan wasn't there, so it was all Gill.
If that were true, you would be here now. See, that's it. He drew first blood. Everything now is all fair game. so I wasn't
I
there.
let myself in for
Yeah, you know what? When I'm not there, they let anyone join.
Oh. Now.
Straight back over. Yeah, so that would have been June.
I think it probably was June in
The one meeting I didn't go to.
Yeah, June, probably was June 2015. Yeah,
I think Claudia did the.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Business karma.
Yeah, business card.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a good meeting. I must admit.
and
Yeah.
what was the genius slot? I think that was Nikki did the
Nikki
genius slot.
Statham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah. So you know, I just came away from that going, yeah, this is me. And funny enough, one of the very first collaborators I ever had any interaction with at all
Yeah.
was Dave Corden.
Oh.
How funny.
Because I walked in
Yeah.
looking a tad lost.
Yes. Oh.
You know, don't understand anything because there weren't any signs
No.
to tell me where to go or anything.
It's like
That's-
you had to divine your way there,
That's
find your
part
way
of
in.
the
Oh, is that right?
initiation, because you
So-
still find us after all of that.
So this great tall bloke
Yeah.
leaps up and says, "You're looking for the BeCollaboration meeting? It's through here."
Oh, and it's still like that, isn't it?
Yeah,
So lovely.
absolutely. So that was my first
Oh.
experience of BeCollaboration. Was this very welcoming crowd
Yeah,
who,
yeah.
you know, they were all sitting there having their talks outside, but they were still aware of what
Oh,
was
people,
going on
that's
and
lovely.
wanted people to
And he's still like
be
that, isn't he?
comfortable.
He's
Yeah.
just- yeah. How ironic then that you two should be
Do you think
thrown
that?
together
Yeah.
in the Surrey meeting, because
Yeah.
it wasn't, you didn't kind of sit down and go, should we do this together, Dave? You just kind of independently,
Yeah.
you started Sussex and he started
Yeah.
Surrey,
Yeah,
and as
really.
the time went on you went, oh, let's do it together.
Yeah.
But that's interesting, because I don't know about you, but whenever I join a new organisation or I go somewhere new, you always remember the first person you speak to.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm still in touch with a lady who I met when I went to KPI, and funnily enough, as a Beju's event as well, you meet people in the toilets and you just kind of connect with them. Vanessa, we met in the toilets, didn't we? And you came to BeCollaboration afterwards. But it's interesting how you always remember, and first impressions,
They do make a massive difference.
because it's the energy that you're meeting up against. And if you think about it, you and Dave are very similar energy, aren't you? You're very calm and grounded
and playful.
yes, a bit cheeky, a little bit cheeky, and I get the impression unflappable. I don't imagine you two having a crisis, going, oh my God, it's gone. You know, just like, oh well, we'll get this done, we'll get that done. Just
Right. Yeah, whatever.
inside, in your head, you might be going crazy.
Yeah, there's a little bit of swan going on there.
Yeah, definitely.
So at the end of that meeting, did you say, "Yep, I'm in," or did you have to go away?
Yeah, no, I said, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
I was really surprised when Gill phoned me the next day and said, so what do you think? Well, I said yesterday, I'm in.
You slept on it by then, and I was like, you might have thought, what that crazy people.
Yeah, no, I knew then that it was something I wanted to get involved in.
And then you met Erkan.
And then I met Erkan, and I still wanted to.
It's true, against one there, sorry.
That's all right. I like it like that. But you know, so for you, in your mind, what I'm hearing, what you experienced was a place where you could just be you.
Yeah.
You could engage with others. You were already thinking about looking for something like that anyway.
Yeah.
So there was this idea of I want to be around other people. I want to share. I want to connect with. I mean, that was something that was very strong for me and Gill in the early days. It wasn't even about wanting to make more money or get more clients. I just want to be around other people that are not my clients.
Yeah.
Because for me, that was my experience. I've had clients or prospects. Yeah. Clients would disappear. They have to turn prospects into clients. And then, and although, because we've got coaching background, although you're their coach, you're not really on their team in the same way as if you're in the business. And I found that there came a point where at some point you should be got rid of. You know,
absolutely.
You shouldn't be around forever. But it was always, it felt a little bit kind of, oh, okay, bye. I'll just grab my stuff and go then, you know. But that's how it felt for me. And I wanted to be around people that were my people.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've had experience of networks and communities, sort of, through my networking over the years.
You did the online thing as well, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, my big engagement with networking early on was the Academy Black Star Network, which was very expensive and supposedly exclusive.
Yeah.
I mean, towards the end it was, have you got a checkbook? But,
okay.
but even so, you know, it was something quite involved. And after that sort of faded away. The network still exists. The Academy itself went, but the network does still exist. I'm still in touch with a lot of people with Black Star. In fact, Beju was Black Star, and you know, it was through Black Star that I met Beju, which so eventually that you know tracks all the way through to here. But always within Black Star, there was an element of putting on a front.
Okay. Yeah.
And somehow I knew I didn't have to do that.
Right.
When I made the decision to join BeCollaboration.
You could be yourself.
So I could just be me. And that was the bit that kind of, And then I came on the orientation at Hertford, and everything you were banging on about was genius. I just thought, this has got, I've this is right.
Yeah.
This was definitely a good decision.
Well, this
That
was,
was-
I was just going to say, this
Yeah.
kind of brings you to this wonderful book that Andrew's written from his company, which is Joyful Genius. And so as you were going along within BeCollaboration, there must have been so many parallels between what Erkan was saying about discovering your genius and working in your flow and all of those kind of things. You have to go, yep, tick, tick. And that's why I guess it's like putting all the pieces of a jigsaw together when you kind of feel like I'm comfortable here because they get me and they understand.
Yeah, and you know, the working in your genius, being, not doing, all of that stuff is all the kind of stuff that I've been thinking or talking about as I've developed the Joyful Genius approach to things. So yeah, hearing it kind of reinforced where I was already going, but it also gave me permission to go there. You know, it gave me a validation.
As soon as you use the word genius, straight away you're dealing with a whole lot of reaction to that. What I did when I first started talking about it and started saying I'm going to create a program called Discover Your Genius. I mean, like who the hell is Erkan or Andrew Horder to talk about genius? Because we have such, I think, inhuman type of view of genius. It's like you have to be so. You know, like Einstein's always one that comes up. Or you have to be so. You've got to be like such an extraordinary. You're not human. And my argument was, it's in every one of us. Yeah. We've got genius. We've got flow. Yeah. You know, all we've got to do is see that for ourselves. But how did you climatise? Because you didn't come. Your background's quite academic. You came from a corporate background. Yeah. Where you know, in your understanding of your perception of genius. What are your earliest memories of actually even considering that as something that you would explore or develop for others? No, for you, let alone others.
That's a good question, actually. My original coaching brand was The Busy Fool. Yeah. Or not The Busy Fool, because my focus was focus. I was talking about, you know, staying focused, not getting distracted by things, not getting taken off on, you know, shiny object stuff.
Which is what a lot of people.
Which is what a lot of people do. And, there's a good coaching proposition in there. Yeah. And I was doing it was like a 6-week online thing with a guy called George Ira Carroll, who's an access consciousness facilitator. And one of the things he challenged us to do was like to come up with a name for a program or a workshop that was just completely out there with all our energy attached. And what I came up with was Juice Up Your Joyful Genius. And then I looked at it and I thought, I like that. Yeah. And I also looked at it and went, that doesn't really fit with The Busy Fool. No. And I realised actually The Busy Fool was a stupid brand. Well, it's not a stupid brand, it's a very memorable brand, but it was not really aspirational. No. To the point where, you know, on the website I had to put not. Yes. In front of the name before. Yeah. So then that's what made me go, you know what, I'm actually going to own up to this one. And I'm going to change the name of my business. I'm going to call it Joyful Genius Coaching. And that's what I'm going to help people to do, to find their joyful genius. And that was scary.
When did that come into being
then? I couldn't tell you the exact date, Gill, but it was 2013-ish. Okay. Round about then was when I did the flip from... I went through a phase where I didn't really know what the name of the company was. So I went from Not the Busy Fool to Andrew Horder Coaching. Right. For about 5 to 6 months. Yeah. You know, people make a good living with that sort of thing.
There's too many other people doing that.
And then Joyful Genius popped up.
Just hit the spot.
I owned up to it, and then stepped into it,
and this cheeky side of you comes out then, doesn't it? Because otherwise you could just be a man in a suit, and we look at you and you're a business coach, and that's what you do.
Well, I mean, Not the Busy Fool had an element of that. That slight flippancy about me, but the Joyful Genius is just much more.
So who's looking, or who does that appeal to? Do you have a sort of a kind of a familiar kind of client that kind of says, I want to take this journey, or is it very random?
It's fairly random. There's 2 types of people who seem to be attracted to it. One is one-man band type entrepreneurs who recognise that it's supposed to be more fun than this.
And are they kind of been around a little while, or are they new?
They're relatively new, but they've
realised it's not as much fun.
Yeah, they've got past that first flush of
They're not
excitement.
like honeymoons.
And now they're like,
Yeah.
oh, it's just so tiring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one side.
Mm.
And the other side is people who are still in a corporate job and probably want to remain in a corporate job,
Yeah.
but they're not happy in it.
Yeah.
They're feeling ground down.
Mm.
And they know that, work's supposed to be fun.
Yeah. You can feel their exhaustion, can't you? When
Yeah.
they come. It's,
Yeah. Yeah. So they find me online and they read some of my stuff, they read some of my blogs, and they get some of the humour and that sort of light-heartedness, serious.
Yeah.
There is a lot of seriousness in there.
Yeah.
Some people say I tend to pontificate a little.
No.
So now what about my desk? Are you pontificating?
I've heard other things about you as well, but I'll be honest.
Ooh, the gloves are off, aren't
I'm more interested just at the entrepreneur, let's say the Lone Ranger business owners. I mean, are they kind of feeling overwhelmed, like they've got a lot on, and because they end up. I show a model of like technical work and administering their business. They're getting trapped, either delivering what they do and then spending the rest of the time paying bills and invoices, and there's that cycle. It gets is famine feast, and they end up kind of not enjoying what they whatever it was, cutting hair, fixing cars, whatever they love doing, and then they kind of go, well, how am I going to break out of this cycle? So is that the kind of, in terms of wanting what you've got, are they looking at...
It's not so much that they're stuck in a cycle, it's just that they're feeling like all the fun and the energy's gone out of it.
Right.
The joy.
So the balloon's
gone
gone
out. Yeah. Yeah, and they're usually at that point where they're going, this was supposed to be fun. This was supposed to be better than the corporate job.
Yeah. So what do you do with them to help them reignite and...
The first thing I do with most people is the wealth dynamics profile.
Right. Oh, that's a lovely one. I love that.
Yeah,
it's so easy,
it's
isn't it?
just
It's
great.
yeah.
And, it helps people really get an idea of where their flow lies and where they're allowed to not be good.
Yeah.
It gives people permission to not be good at something.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the other things is, as entrepreneurs, people think they're supposed to be good at everything because a lot of the material out there tells you have to.
Yeah.
But also when you're small and you're on your own, or it's a small team,
Yeah.
you've got to write the theme tune, sing the theme tune. You get at that beginning, there's a lot of kind of doing a bit of everything until you build up resources, money.
Yeah, there is a lot of that, and I think it was Topher Morrison I first heard say it. He was told by one of his mentors that the only thing you should be doing in your business is the thing that only you can do. Everything else outsource as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Now that's hard if you haven't got the money to do the outsourcing.
But then that's when you can feel the pain, because you say it's what you're good at, but I can be good at everything. I don't like being good at everything.
That's the thing, what you're naturally good at.
Exactly. So it's finding that pain point, and when that pain point is there, then you'll find the money to outsource it, because it's like, I really don't want to do that anymore.
Because the problem is, what ends up happening is people just go, well, I can't afford to get anybody else to do it, but I hate doing it, so it doesn't happen. And that's why you end up with the accountants being given 2 carrier bags full of receipts at 30th of January. No good to anybody.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that happens. The marketing doesn't get done, and they wonder why the pipeline dries up. So, yes, there's stuff you sometimes have to do because you're a one-man band and you haven't got the revenue.
If you know it's only short term, then you can cope with it.
And part of it is putting in place the plan to, when am I going to be able to do that? What do I need to do in order to be able to do that? And then, as you say, it becomes a short-term thing. Okay, for the next 6 months I've got to do my accounts. I've actually got to keep them up to date because that way it's not going to cost me an arm and a leg when I hand it over to a bookkeeper.
Another incentive to do it.
Go to the profiling tool. I mean, we're familiar as coaches with a lot of different, everything from DISC to Myers-Briggs, there's loads of them. And I think every profile tool has its profile that it gives people. What kind of, for some people I've seen, it's like a revelation. Have you had that experience with any of your clients where they've kind of gone, oh, I'm a star, or mechanic or whatever it is,
Or whatever it
and they
is.
kind of get that revelation. Is that they knew it almost like explains a lot. Like that.
Yes, I think it's not so much a revelation as it explains what's going on.
Right.
So they get some clarity on why it is they hate doing their accounts. Why it is, in my case, the face-to-face marketing stuff is a challenge.
Yeah.
Because my blaze energy, people energy, is very, very
Yeah.
low.
We're blowing it up a little bit though.
Yeah,
aren't
you're
we?
doing your best.
Yeah.
Bellows out. Yeah.
Oh, I'm certainly much more outgoing than I used to be.
Yeah, and it's being able to choose to do it as well,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
But in the spirit of this podcast journey of possibilities, I you have perceptions of people and they're like on your radar, then they become on. I mean, I'm going to say
No,
this.
here we go.
No, honestly, it's not an attack. It's not an attack. I always, my perception of you was you felt uncomfortable with people, especially at the front of the room. There was this unease. And what I've seen in you now, over the last few times I've seen you in front of the room, is like this almost like there is no them and me, there's just us.
Yeah.
And you just have to be at the front of the room talking to people, as opposed to sitting down and listening to them.
I mean, part of that, I used to hide behind my models.
Yes. Yes.
You know, I would have my set piece that I deliver,
Yes.
and as long as nobody asks me any awkward questions,
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Get away with it.
Yeah.
Now I do prepare,
Yeah.
but I'm more than happy to go off piste if that's
Yeah.
where the room needs to go.
Absolutely.
And actually, I enjoy that.
And that's the thing I'm kind of saying is like
Yeah.
you don't. It looks like something you're enjoying. Like
Yeah.
it's giving you some freedom.
Yeah.
As I was saying about was it Charlie Parker about learning your instrument? He goes,
Yes.
you learn, you practice, and you throw all that away and you just wail.
Yeah.
Because by the time you get in front of the room,
Yeah.
there's just you've got everything you need
Yeah.
to know. And if it goes offline, it comes back again.
Yeah, well, I think it was Picasso. Is that you've got to learn the rules
Yeah.
in order to know how to break
Break
them.
them,
Yeah,
definitely.
exactly.
And that's what I like about you. Just said you're professional in that you do your preparation.
Yeah.
And some people come along to the front of the room and they go, "Oh, I'll be all right. I'll just wing it." And I'm like,
No, we've seen some people in the front of the room that they should
Yeah.
not have been. I say to Gill, "Did you give them the brief?" And I'm like, and she knows what I mean. It's like, what the hell's going on? At the
Yeah.
front?
What
And
was
you
that?
know who you are. Right? But I've been, I think to myself, we've been given an opportunity to show a community that's predicated on collaboration and genius and flow what you've got, and that's what you delivered. There's that old adage about how you do this, how you do everything.
Mm-hmm.
One would hope that they wouldn't, but it's like, to me, it's a really great. It's a mirror, isn't it? Within the BeColl context, it's a chance to get your game at a level that you maybe don't ordinarily see it.
I think to some extent it's like a compliment to BeColl that people feel comfortable enough to experiment like that.
Yeah.
And I think they're missing a trick there because there is an opportunity to be at their best.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And, jamming is fine if that's what people are expecting.
Yeah, I think as well the genius slot is for that. Like, I'm not sure about this, guys,
Yeah,
but let's have a little explore of this and let's see where it comes, and then you can learn something along with the community. But when
true.
you're doing a known be known, that's your chance to absolutely shine and show off. And
and you've got to be delivering a piece of material that people can go. They can understand something more about themselves
Yes.
and more about you through doing that. Because if you don't take both of those opportunities, then you're missing a trick.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it becomes a bit of a sales pitch if all you're doing is talking about what you do.
And where else can you spend 45 minutes to an hour talking to 20, 30 people?
Yeah.
It doesn't really happen normally. If you're lucky enough to get in front of a room, it's 10 minutes max, isn't it? And so it's really...
And then it becomes a sales pitch, as opposed
Yes.
to. But
Did
the
you
other
just-
the other thing I was going to ask you, we've made a habit of filming as many of the 99s and Genius slots.
Yeah.
Now, they're not all online, some of them are in the back end and for members only, but have you gone back and watched those and seen yourself? Have you kind of gone to the early ones and kind of gone...
You should do.
I started to.
Yeah,
it's
good.
really...
Yeah.
Because I see them
yeah.
all, because I manage them.
Yeah.
And a little while ago I had to go through them all and rename them and all that. And I was like looking at people from 2 years ago and 2.5 years ago, and I look at them now and I was like, wow, that's like...
Well, I went back to that, the very first one I did. You know when I did the Welsh Dynamics on everyone who turned up for the Go Create?
Yes.
Yes.
That was interesting.
I mean, it was great fun to do that and then to deliver the results.
Yeah.
But that was so structured.
Yes.
And I didn't actually leave very much at all for questions at the end.
Just in case, just in case,
oh, anybody asking me questions?
But when you delivered the Known Be Known in London last month, And you
that was
rocked
fun.
the room. You really, I mean, literally, you sang to the room.
You did?
Just unbelievable.
He sang.
So the confidence, and you would never have done that 2 years ago.
Have you ever
would
done that in your life, ever?
What?
I mean, I don't mean a social event. I mean like in a sort of a more formal event. You've just started singing in front of a group.
No.
I was shocked.
I'll rephrase that. Not sober.
Yeah, exactly. So, which is fantastic, though, isn't it? What a great way to finish 2017. You know, like singing in front of the
Brilliant.
group
Yeah,
on the last minute.
The thing is, I knew I wasn't going to be able to not sing.
Right.
So I did know I was going to sing.
Fantastic.
And I actually thought to myself, do I need to have a singing lesson because I'm going to do that? Because I know I'm going to be mic'd up.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's going to be picked up. So I'm,
Yeah.
But then I thought, you know what?
That's great. That's
Wow.
great.
Yeah.
So can we get into a little bit of your early life? I know we
Depends
just
how deep you want to
but you were a grammar school boy, weren't
Yeah,
you?
I was.
You know, you was a bit of
He was a
a
clever clod.
bit of a
go.
clever
I was a
clod.
clever clod.
Yeah, he was right little clever. But what I can get is there was like a mischievous kind of rebel in there.
With me, it was always, I wanted to push the boundaries.
But to see what you could get away with,
Yeah.
or see,
Yeah. And that was because everything around me was so structured.
no.
Yeah.
You know, so I wanted to see how do I break these rules and get away with it.
Right.
And I did to a large extent. Every now and then I overstepped the
You got
mark.
pulled back again.
You know, the time Dad got the letter saying, please be in my office at 10 o'clock so we can discuss whether Andrew's going to be allowed to go into the sixth form. Oops.
But he wasn't a happy bunny, was he?
No.
Oh.
And your dad didn't take that with a pinch of salt. He was quite serious, was he? Was he an academic, your dad? Or
No, Dad wasn't really an academic, but he did like us to not follow the rules, but he did like us to be respectful of things.
Yeah.
So being obstreperous like I was at the time,
For the sake
that
of it.
was a bit of a disappointment for Dad.
Yeah.
But he gave me plenty of space to develop myself. And I still remember him saying then, you don't change the system from the outside. Which was,
What did your dad
with
do?
me.
What did he do for a living?
He was an accountant or an auditor.
Oh, auditor.
Yeah.
So he was a rules kind of, because auditing is.
Well, it isn't. It isn't actually. Auditing done well is looking for the points of failure and putting things in place to stop that failure happening. It's not about pure compliance.
Right.
Because he was an internal auditor, not external.
Okay, so it wasn't.
Yeah, it was a Horder Group. It was one of the big conglomerates in the 70s. Yeah, that was the deputy. Well, I think his title was Deputy Group Chief Internal Auditor.
Wow.
Yeah, so,
He's posh, isn't he?
oh yeah.
Did you grow up in a really big house? Did you have servants?
My dad was a docker. And I sit next to him, I'm like,
What
whoa.
did your mum do? She a housewife? Or?
Largely a housewife, but she added to the household income because Dad wasn't that well paid. But we were very comfortable. We were very, very comfortable middle class. We didn't.
Where did you grow up? Whereabouts?
Windsor, Royal Windsor.
I didn't know we had a posh.
We say Royal Windsor. Actually, it was Dedworth.
Oh,
Which is like the western suburb of Windsor.
close enough though, that's all right.
Close
And you
enough.
used to commute into London, or?
He commuted into London every day.
And your mum was.
Mum did some admin roles. I mean, she started in the 70s working for a construction company, property investment company, and she was still working for the son of her original employer when she was certainly into her late 70s, probably even as far as 80.
Really?
Yeah, she was still
So she
working
enjoyed
3
it.
mornings
That's
a
an
week.
inspiration, isn't it, for you? That's fantastic.
So,
And have you got brothers or sisters?
yeah, I've got 2 brothers. Dave's the older brother. He's a
Anything you want to say, Dave?
he's a credit controller. Hi, bro. And my little brother Kevin is he works at Waitrose.
So you're the middle one.
I'm the middle one.
Are you a typical middle child?
What is a typical
I
middle
have no
child?
idea.
Left out, nobody really liked you.
Oh,
The one in the middle.
That's what we did to my brother.
Oh, is that right? Is that right? No,
This guy's got a little.
I think it did make me very, very self-reliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Dave was the oldest, got a lot of attention.
The youngest got a lot of
Kev was the
attention.
youngest, got a lot of
Yeah,
attention.
You were the leftover.
I wasn't the leftover, but
You made your own mark.
But I imagine you got away with a lot because of that.
Moving on. So going back to the wealth dynamics, and then you went from wealth dynamics, and what I have loved learning about you over the last few months is how you utilise core process.
Yeah, core process is the one that I love to do.
And I can really tell that I can see it coming through you.
It's a way to access the uniqueness of every individual. Where wealth dynamics gives you, one of a profile, one of 8 profiles, it's a little bit generic.
Yeah, and also it can be a little bit trite because people go, oh, that's me, and they walk off and that's in my bag now, tools, and I'm not going to do any of that, and I need somebody to do that, and there is
that can be helpful to do that, but Roger, who developed it, Roger Hamilton, he says, your profile is never an excuse for inexcusable behaviour.
Yeah.
So you can't just go...
Not my profile.
Were you a creator or star?
I'm a creator star.
Yeah. So you can't go, I'm not going to do any of that admin stuff because I'm not a creator.
He does.
I have been doing it.
and Gill can't go, I don't have to worry about the numbers because I'm a supporter.
Yeah. And she doesn't.
I never worry. I might have to do it, but I never worry.
Alan
looks after that. You got Alan.
Why else did I
Alan
marry?
is your perfect
I said,
counterpart.
fill in this profile before we get married.
No, what she did is she said, Alan, if you can fill that form in, you're in. And he did. Really neat form, all done.
Spreadsheet.
But anyway, as you say, that can be a little bit, okay, that's my box, I'll sit in my box. Core process is absolutely unique to the individual.
Yeah.
Even if we came out with exactly the same words, and I've never come up with exactly the same words.
Because there'd be a different expression, wouldn't there?
There would be a different expression of the individual.
Yeah.
It's like you're naked in the process, aren't you? There's no hiding.
Oh yeah. There's absolutely no.
And where did the core process come from? Was that something you learned elsewhere?
Well, I learnt it from one of my mentors, Nick Heap, who he originally learnt it when it was being done in ICI back in the 70s.
Oh.
And his core process came out as creating awareness, which led him to decide that being a research chemist in polymer chemistry, whatever, wasn't him.
Okay.
So he became a learning and development man without portfolio, all throughout ICI. And he basically didn't have any specific things he was supposed to do. He just went out and practiced and played.
Yeah.
And his website's got this mass of content about organisational development and personal development stuff on it that he's played with over the years.
Yeah.
So he brought that into the Black Star Network, and a few people learned how to do it.
Right.
I wasn't one of the original ones who learned how to do it,
Okay.
but mine was done by one of those originals.
Right.
And it came out as encouraging potential, which was the moment I went,
oh no.
Well, I often say to people that, if we do your core process, there will almost certainly be an oh shit moment.
Yeah.
And with me it was, oh shit, I'm a coach.
Yeah.
Excuse me, swearing, but I had that was the moment I sort of stopped trying to present myself as a consultant.
Yes.
And realised that actually everything I've done when I've been achieving in my career has been through the team, coaching the team, coaching individuals to be the best they can be. Which is where I've had to finally own up to being a coach.
Yeah.
People have been telling me you're a coach.
How long ago was that?
About 2010 I finally owned up to being a coach.
Wow.
So that's 7.
Yeah, 7-8 years ago. That was when I finally owned up to it.
So that's interesting because I don't know how old you are, but you're probably around my age, maybe a little bit.
I'm 57.
Well, quite a bit older than me then. So what I'm getting at, so Jill and I were talking about earlier on about, we're in the process of putting together a business plan for scaling BeCollaboration. And I said, I think we've just got to be really upfront now, because we're talking to people that are 40 and above. And I said, and I think at 40 and above, you've had probably several careers.
Yeah.
I'm talking about us as 40 and above at this age. You've learnt a lot, you've made mistakes, you've got some good understandings, you kind of have a sense of who you are. I'm talking about people who want to be part of BeColl. I'm not talking about, all 40-year-olds.
No.
And you also have a sense, and this is something I wanted to come around to, the macro, making a difference to society. How we're going to leave the planet? Where can we put that genius or that flow or that insight where it can make a bigger difference?
I think to a large extent, where BeCollaboration is in its element is where you're working with people who want to become or are already purposeful, not driven.
Purposeful, not driven.
Yeah.
I like that.
And there's a massive difference between the two, because there's two different types of motivation. There's towards motivation and there's away from motivation. Driven people tend to be being pushed from behind by away from motivation. Purposeful people are being drawn towards something by towards motivation. And both motivations have got a purpose. Yeah, they both have a value. Sometimes a bit of a way can get you moving.
Yeah.
Where the thing that you really want to get to is too far away to really have a good motivation on you.
It's almost like a magnetic force. If the magnet isn't strong enough, it's not pulling you.
Exactly. So you have a repel magnet behind you to get you moving. The problem with that is as soon as you're far enough away from the problem, the motivation fades.
Indeed.
It's not a state of being, is it? In the sense that it's more of
not.
a reaction to something.
Yeah, exactly. It's a
as
reaction.
opposed to an expression.
Yeah. So what you get is like this sine wave of performance.
I definitely know what you mean by it.
Yeah.
I was quite driven when I was younger.
Yeah.
And you get bored, and you go, well, is this it?
Yeah.
Because you achieve something because of that drive.
Yeah.
And there's other models, there's other ways of describing it within that way. But for me, there was something about expressing or exploring your purpose as a human being in a community where, because you can't, I don't think you can explore it on your own, because there's nothing to reflect it against.
No.
Yeah.
I think I'm not saying there isn't a time to be a hermit or to come away and.
You've got to self-reflection.
Yeah,
is
no,
good,
it's fine.
But you also need people that are going to be honest and
you need some.
be in your corner and tell you in love that what you just didn't work. However they voice that.
Yeah. Well, I think having a purpose is all very well, but being able to express your purpose is how you turn that into something real. And you can't express your purpose to yourself.
No,
in a vacuum.
Exactly, because what is that then? That would be kind of
it'd be very
self-indulgent.
It's also not effective.
Yeah.
You've got that's where you see people who've gone away and written their mission statement or their purpose statement.
Yeah, it sounds lovely.
And it sounds lovely, but it means nothing to anybody else because it just doesn't land with other people.
Yes.
Because they haven't put it out into the world, got some feedback on it, done something new with it, tried different words. Around core process and how I use core process, I've been experimenting with the words that actually mean something for years, literally. And it's starting to come together, that I'm starting to talk about it in a way. And a large part of that is that I talk about it a lot with my coach. And she reflects back how it lands with her. She tells me what she thinks and I pick up the words that she uses. And it's that interplay that creates a richness of language and a richness of concepts and context that allows people to really get it. And it's only, probably over the last 6 months or so that people have really started to get what I'm on about.
Okay.
Which is great for me.
Do you think that's connected to your empowerment, your own self-empowerment, because you're now in a position where you're comfortable in your skin, you're happy with where you're going, therefore they're getting it now? Is it them getting it now, or is it?
I think it's a bit both.
Yeah.
I think I'm getting better at expressing it.
Yes.
So it's landing better.
Yes.
Which is giving me more confidence to express it even
so
more richly.
Self-perpetuates.
Yeah, exactly. So it's working both ways.
I just want to go back to something, because before we start this, we do a little kind of set up and get ourselves into the space. And a little while ago, we had a bit of a, we bumped heads, didn't we?
We did a bit,
yeah. A bit, right?
Could it get classified as a Barney Rubble? I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, it was really good. I think it was really good because it allowed us to really just express, and one of the things we took on is being authentic in that meeting.
Yeah.
And it was like there was. But the thing I was looking at is, we was talking about this thing about within BeCollaboration, we're not out to prove a model. So collaboration isn't about setting out a load of models and saying that's how it is. And for us to be mindful that this is an evolving, because I think a lot of people struggle to understand BeCollaboration because it's not really many organisations are operating in, this free flow, self-organising, where that could be the case and that could be the case and this could be the case. And really all we really want to do is take the project or the opportunity or ourselves to our next stage.
Yeah.
I mean, what did you learn coming away from that interaction about yourself or about us or about the community? Did it kind of... yeah, I think that's the question. How do you feel when you're challenged to that level?
Challenged. I'm not quite sure how I can answer that one, because coming away from it, I did feel that something had gone wrong. But now looking back to it, there was a full and open conversation.
Yeah.
That I said earlier, we had the conversation about some of the things that happens in meetings, and I was very happy and very pleased with the outcome, the way that we ended up agreeing on what was going to be an appropriate way for us to carry on. So yeah, I delight in challenging my clients.
It's funny, you get to a certain age and you don't get challenged as much.
True.
Do you? Because you feel like you're in this little fur-lined rut of I know my stuff, this is who I am, and then I'm going to disagree with you, and I'm going to disagree with you, but this is me, so you've got to agree with me. And a lot of people are kind of, if you dare to have this kind of conversation, I don't understand what you're... And the tension went up, didn't it? And we were very emotive in the whole situation, but I was in a room full of grown-ups that were able to keep a dialogue going, no matter how it happened, in order to have a positive conclusion. Yeah. And to my mind, that's where the relationship was. And then at the end of that meeting, it had gone to that level. It was closer as a result of it, and we had kind of moved forward in a collaboration that was to the benefit of all. And yet we didn't have to agree. Yeah. We didn't have to come out going, yeah, all right, I see your point, or all right then. There was none of that.
It wasn't that.
It was agree to disagree, but we all left with a hug, didn't we? And it was...
Yeah, and there was, because of the difference in views, we were able to have an open conversation about other things.
Yes.
Which allowed us to move forward on a much more positive note. Yeah.
But but to have that, I mean, both ways. I mean, I think to engage at that level with people, that's a certain level of. I believe we should be challenged to breaking point more. To test. I'm not saying in life everywhere. I'm talking about this is a leader group of an organisation wants to be a global player in collaboration. If we can't test each other to destruction and come up with something, you need heat. Was it the old Ferris Bueller's Day Off is so tight, you need time and heat and you get a diamond if you put a bit of coal up his arse or something. There's that line. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, very famous stuff. But you need the heat and you need the pressure to create something of beauty, because otherwise it'll be, oh, nicey, you're nicey, and I'm nicey. And, and I think within, say, traditional networking groups, that is fine.
I've been part of collaborations in the past where that level of disagreement has happened in meetings, and that's been it.
That's finished.
Done. It's gone.
So what?
This never come back together again.
This is really what I wanted to get to, right? So you at that meeting got up and walked out.
Yeah.
At some point you went, whatever it was, you walked out, and I went. Okay. I was actually like, okay, fine, okay. Mine was like, what the hell have I got to do to get through this? Whatever. I want to have that experience, right? And I want to have it out, because this isn't between me and you. This is for our audience, because I think in anything really challenging, there's going to come a point where you go, right, screw you, I'm out. Marriage, friendships, business relationships, artistic endeavours. There comes a point where there's a loss of trust, there's a loss of alignment inside the challenge.
That can be the case if you're approaching it from I've got to win.
Yeah.
If you're approaching it from collaboration,
right,
you can go, it's time that this conversation stopped, but not this relationship.
Yes. So when you walked out...
So when I walked out, that was simply because
it was like
I was getting to the point where I might have said something that
broke it.
I didn't really want to say that would completely break it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't something I wanted to do, and it wasn't something that was right.
Yeah.
So I went for a walk, I went for a nice little walk down Hertford.
What did you say to yourself?
I walked down.
Hertford's quite nice.
I walked down to the riverbank.
Wow.
Along the river, and
Yeah.
then I looped back round. And what did I say to myself? I just said, okay, that wasn't fun.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But you know what?
Yeah.
We refer to this on the orientation as the invitation by the Rye Mountain Dreamer. I've got my glass on, and there's a line that, you know, we've been there before. You are not the first person to be in this situation.
I'm sure I'm not.
It says, hang on. Can't find it now. Do you want to talk amongst yourselves while I find it?
Can I share where I was when you?
Yeah, that's a good
fine.
idea.
I was absolutely fine with it the way it went. I really was. I was really like, oh, that's okay. We're getting somewhere. Like, because it's like it's a little bit. But then when you came back and sat down, I started to notice I was really annoyed, and I was where I was. Is what have I got to do to get through to these people? How am I going to take this? How are we going to get anywhere if we can't get these basics in place? You know, and for me they're basics. You know, for you it's a different. You know, and then and slowly I just thought to myself, I don't have to do anything. And I noticed that at first I was fine. It was really, and then something clicked in me, and I felt like beating some. Not anybody. I mean, like, you know, like hitting something. You know, and I just noticed. I just felt that rage come up, and I just felt, you know what? My frustration was, all I want to do is grow the organisation, and I'm just throwing everything I think is going to make the difference. You know, and it's not about being right. It's about how we're going to, because that is our big problem right now. That is our biggest challenge in terms of BeCollaboration. Is if it stays at 60 members, we ain't going to make the difference that we want to make. Because one thing I put here is the macro, and it's something I wanted to not challenge you on at all. It was more ask you. It's like, for me, and from the book launch the other day, Gill, you were talking about, we were talking about clearly, we'll get into the making of the movement in a second, but the idea is that we want to make the world a better, we want to transform the human experience, we want to make, we want to see things that we are not comfortable with. I mean, you talked about annoyance or irritation in the way the world is, and collectively, my self-expression is inspiring collective action, and we've been at it a while. And I'm like, that meeting for me wasn't about you, it was about what the hell is it going to take to move this organisation forward. So and that dawned on me after you left, and then after you come back, I was about to blow my top, not at you, but it was kind of like, we're not out to prove a model. I'm not out to go, this is the way it is, you either believe or get there, because that's not what it's about. And inside of that challenge, that we are all learning something about ourselves, each other, the ability to trust each other, to go, you know what, that didn't go too great, fine, park it, let's make it better next time, or what did we learn from it,
But that, I think, is the important thing, is that whenever you're involved in something that matters,
Yes.
you have to be able to bring your passion to it.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to take a step back when it's not going the way you want it to.
Because the person sitting opposite you is a human being, and
Yeah.
we've all got our stuff going on. And it kind of, this is the sentence that it reminded me of. It doesn't interest me who you know or how you came to be here. I want to know if you will stand in the centre of the fire with me and not shrink back.
Yeah.
And that was like, we were in a bit of a fire, and it was interesting. And we all came away, and some people got a little bit burnt, and then we all came back again. And we didn't shrink back. And and I do believe that we've got a better relationship and understanding as a result of that. And this is, as I say, it's happened to other people as well. And when it has happened to other people, it's a cement that's growing, because we know it's like a family. When you fight with your siblings, you know their worst moment. You know when they're at their worst, and you still love them, even though.
But the alternative is it festers.
Yeah.
It just carries on bubbling on at this low level dissatisfaction, and that's toxic.
Yes.
Because that just gets in the way of any kind of collaboration. Yeah. Because you can't collaborate with someone you're pissed off with.
No.
It needs to get out there.
You've got to clean it
You
up.
need to be able to say, this doesn't work for me.
So what would you say to people who are out there that have got that festering going on at the moment? What should they do?
They should have a conversation.
It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. If there's something that is bugging you, and you know that the other person you're working with, you're talking to, could be so much more than they're currently willing to be, that's usually what hacks people up. I know that's what was hacking you off about me.
No, that's exactly what it was. It wasn't
Yeah.
there's anything wrong with you.
No.
It was just I just wanted to see.
Yeah, you're not doing them any favours by letting them off.
But without permission, it's horrendous.
Yeah, you've got to know you have permission. Otherwise, sometimes it can blow up, particularly if you're not clear on what levels of the permission are.
Yes, yeah.
But that's why one of the things that I talk about when I bring clients on board is, are you happy for me to hold you to the standards to which you deserve to be held?
Yeah, because nobody wants to be really.
Well, most people say yes.
Yeah, of course they do. Okay, go for it.
And then when you really...
I then say, okay, so just to be clear, that does mean that
Can
from
you just
time to
sign
time
here?
you will want to hit me.
Yeah.
If we're working by Skype, that's fine.
That's why.
That's why they're always
But if
got
we're working face to face, then I need to know they're not going to. I need to know I really do have that permission to push them to the point where they will be that hacked off with me.
Well, but that's the intervention, and also as a protagonist, you have to have the compassion for where those people are, and not get drawn in it personally.
Oh yeah. Well,
which is easier with clients, I think, because that's the formal arrangement.
Well, where you're working with someone in a collaborative environment, it's actually much more difficult to establish those rules and permissions, and that's maybe where we could have done that a little bit better.
No, we didn't set up properly. I mean, we looked back, we debriefed it. Yeah, we didn't set up properly. We didn't. There's some things we always do we didn't do, but I think there's still some opportunity to take those conversations because this isn't about, for me, this isn't about us. It's about how we're going to imagine in 5 years when the groups are all over the place and they're having the same challenges. Yeah. But then we can pass that.
It's not just about BeCollaboration. It's about collaboration.
It's about exactly.
It's how do you collaborate effectively, and part of that is the honesty, the permissions. Everybody understands
and
the
forgiveness.
Context. Yeah, and absolutely.
Because because if I can't forgive you, or you can't, if there's that kind of, I think Erkan could have done that better, or you could have listened better, or I could have, whatever, how you frame it. Yeah. Somebody will go, well, it didn't happen. We didn't achieve it, and it's okay.
But at the centre of it all, there was love.
Yeah.
Because you knew that everything was done in the right space. So therefore, I never had any concern that it was going to break. I really, really didn't. No matter how awful it could have got. The fact you stood up and walked out, I was like, oh, okay, we've all got a chance to do that now. That's great.
Actually, when I walked out, my only concern was everybody still going to be there when I got back?
Your concern was if you were lunch, am I going to get my lunch? Okay, so that's fantastic. Thanks for that, because I think one of the things we're really committed to in these conversations is really get close to the bone on things. It's authentic. It's about these are the same challenges you're having in your family, in your businesses, in your organisations, and we're having them within BeColl. And it's like to me, we want to share that.
It's called life, and if you're passionate about something, you'll find a way through, and you'll find a way to.
We're gonna, if we don't mind, just do. Because we're going to have to wrap up in a minute.
You have to come back for part 2.
Really so one of the big things that's happened for us this week in the world of BeCollaboration is Gill launched her book, Making of a Movement, the BeCollaboration story, and it's titled Fierce Guesting Competition to Love, Connection and Abundance. And I think that's been demonstrated in our experience. So Gill, why did you feel compelled to write this book? No one made you do it, right?
Yeah, you did. No, I did it because there's many layers of why. Firstly, it was so that when collaborators turned up and they said, I love this, I'm in, we can go, there you are, catch up. It's a really quick way for them to understand where we're at and the last 4 years, so that they can have a proper underlying understanding. Now, they currently have an orientation which brings some of it together, but this makes it easier. The second part is Erkan and I are often seen as a unit, and he often stands up and says, I'm not talking on Gill's behalf, but a lot of people assume that you are, and I needed to say what my position was with this. We've been through lots of journeys and lots of arguments and disagreements and discussions,
No,
surely not.
no.
But we love each other really, as my great aunt Days would say. So I wanted to get, this is my story, it's not Erkan's story, it's not any of the collaborator stories. There are collaborators' points of view and impressions and emotions within it, but this is my impression, why I'm doing it. So I can stand together but separately from Erkan and the rest of the community by going, this is why I'm doing it. Every collaborator could have their own story of why they're doing it, and maybe one day that will be their thing, that everyone will go, that's my one, and we'll have a whole library of why collaborators have done it, and also what you've got out of it, because that's, I've joined not so that I can help other people all the time, I'm helping me too, and I'm getting a massive amount out of it, and this is kind of a way of saying thank you as well, so that I can give people an opportunity to just catch up and be with it. And then also, probably the most important, is to let people who have no idea what BeCollaboration is about, who've never been to a meeting, who might be at the airport, and we get a chance to have this maybe in a WH Smith somewhere, and they pick it up and they read it and they go, wow, I'd like to be part of that community. And I want them to feel the energy of the community through these pages. So if people have never come in contact with it and they get a chance to read it, and it means that they turn up at a meeting, that's job done, that's why I did it.
I've got a question for you. While writing it, or if you like, not write it now as it's manifested in these printed pages.
And I'm sorry the print is so small, you need your glasses to read it. So it's really diddy.
So, I remember my dad going to restaurants, But what I wanted to ask you, what part of this have you written that kind of maybe surprised you? Is there a part of it that you kind of, when you wrote it, you went, oh?
A bit of all of it, really. There were lots of tears as I wrote it, to be honest. I'm just looking at the chapters to remind me. I think the fact that it is parallel to a lot of people's lives and business, because there's a chapter here that says it will never fly. So we had a whole period, probably a 6-month period of detractors, where people were like, what are you doing that for? What are you doing that? What's the model? And that's never going to work. All you've got is a cosy club. And we're like, whoa, hang on. And you've probably had that in your business. If you're starting out, or if you're in the first 5 years of your business, I guarantee you, somebody's gone, what are you doing that for? That's rubbish. You should be doing that. And it's probably the milkman who has got no idea, if you still have a milkman, of why you're doing it. So there are so many parallels. And things, one of the chapters, remember, it's just a ride. The fun that we've had. That you look back on those times and, people say, oh yes, I'm working for BeCollaboration. No, you're not. You're working for you. This is fun.
Me and Jill always we hear people say, "Oh, I'm doing it for BeCon," and we're like, And I go back to the macros, like this idea of attracting people that want to lay their genius down and practice it and explore it and engage in it with others' geniuses. Genii? Geniuses.
Yeah, I never can work out whether it's genii or
geniuses. We looked it up, it's geniuses.
But for us, I won't say the ideal, but a great space to get into with it, and I think this is why me and you don't really clash a lot, is we dance with it. Yes. It's like, it could be that way, it could be that way, and as long as it's going forward, it doesn't really matter which steps we're taking. And to me, it's about not proving the model. So there was a lot of challenges to us, and I think there was a lot of, in my experience, there's a lot of left brain corporate model type thinking was being applied to this, and we were going, no, we're not doing that. We've been saying it from day one, and you're not listening. You're just putting on something that's taking us back to something that we want to move forward.
Trying to make us fit into another space that we weren't. But how much did we learn? We learned a lot. As a result of
that. Even in those times where you're being challenged, you're being criticised, maybe if you follow your, that sounds really trite in a way, but you follow your heart and you only really understand what you're up to. Obviously, always be out to learn and engage and ask people's input. I think you'd be stupid, you'd be foolish not to. But ultimately, you're the one, or you and a very small number of people, the one that are going to carry the show.
Well, I talk about knowing versus knowledge. And when you talk about follow your heart, that's actually your knowing. That's your intuition. Which is distinct from instinct.
So the other way I describe that is your intellect versus your intelligence.
Yes.
So the intellect can be very left brain, very factual, but your intelligence is more innate.
That's the knowing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know it. You can't explain it in an intellectual knowledge way. but you still know it's true.
And that demonstrated for me in that period of time when we'd sat down and had a meeting and you leant over to me and you went, we're not really going to do it that way, are we? And I'm like, because I was sitting there with my heart going, this doesn't feel right, it really doesn't feel right. And as soon as you said that, I was like, it's not just me.
Was that where I was going, this is like, we're trying to do new paradigm stuff to the old paradigm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that kind of just consolidated to me because I had the right people around me who then made me realise that I was being led down a path.
Yeah, with great intentions, but it wasn't the right path.
Yeah.
But listen,
well, maybe not the right time.
Yeah.
It could well be that there will be a time where that level of formality is more appropriate. You know, maybe when we're at 250 members, hit the new Dunbar number. Maybe that's the point at which we need a bit more formality.
Yeah.
But right now, that fluidity, that ability to self-organise, and that ability to go with our individual and our collective knowing. Yeah. That's where the power lies for me at the moment in BeCollaboration.
And on that note,
that's a good
I think that's a nice sum up.
Perfect.
Thank you. You know, it's beautifully put.
Thanks,
so Andrew Horder, our joyful genius and accomplice. Thank you very much. It's been fantastic having you here, man. So if you've been inspired by this is our last podcast with a guest. Of the year. Thank you, Andrew. You finished off
of the year. I thought it was going to be the last one.
So you finished off. You finished off our last
meetings. I finished off the podcast.
We're finishing the year on a high. If you're interested and curious about Andrew, look him up. joyfulgenius.com. joyful-genius.com. Okay, great. So find Andrew there. Gill and I will be doing one more before the end of the year. We've already scheduled it just to sum up our year, what we've got from the year, and what we're looking forward to in 2018. So if you want to know more about BeCollaboration, the meetings for next year, they're all on the website. Book yourself in. We'll send you a video introduction so you can get a little bit of an insight into what it's all about. Grab the book, it's not on Amazon yet, but you can get it off us personally. And it's a fantastic read. And most of it about me are all lies. I'll just say that now. I'm not that amazing, really. Jill, anything from you?
I think you kind of summed it all up, really. So if somebody nearby to you invites you along to a meeting, make the effort and go, because you never know who you're going to meet, what you might come up with, how it might affect and change your life. And you'll have a great time at the meeting as well. So January 2018, hopefully see you at a meeting soon.
See you at a meeting soon.
Thanks. Merry Christmas. Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Bye.